Hello everyone. My name is Stephen Capel. I'm the Managing Director of Keeklamp. Please bear with me today. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I am the owner of a small business, like probably a lot of you are. I'm not a slick salesperson that normally does these sorts of speeches. So first of all, to give you a bit of a background on who we are, Keeklamp launched a niche building product back in the days of dial-up. We were one of the first people to take the product online due to the amount of inquiries we were getting just from a very, very basic website. So first of all, I'm just going to talk about what a Keeklamp is so you understand a little bit about us. So Keeklamps are components, as you can see in the top right-hand corner there, added to Tube, which make a system that make a multitude of different things. They solve a lot of health and safety problems by making handrails, as you can see around the rooftop there, but they also get used in a lot more creative environments. People make furniture and fit out shops. Those are the much more interesting inquiries for us to deal with. Like most SMEs, we don't have an e-commerce department in-house. We don't have a dark basement full of developers that can build our website for us. We've been doing it ourselves, and we've taken the decision to take that step forward. And that is because today sees all SMEs having to compete with the larger companies and the user experience they are giving everyone. The consumer has a phone in their pocket, they click, they swipe, everything is so easy for them, and they expect the same simplicity from SMEs as well. In 2017, we increased our website traffic with the basic system we had, but our sales stayed constant. And the reason for this is because the user experience we were giving to our customers did not match up to what they needed, particularly in the mobile environment. Our mobile customers are perhaps a little bit different to a lot of them. I would see a mobile customer this morning travelling up to the show, on a train, having a browse around a few shops, maybe needing to go buy something, but maybe just browsing. For us, we have someone on site who has been shown a problem, like a hole, that needs to put a handrail around because someone's going to fall down it. So we need to be able to provide them with a website that they can solve their problem and they can get all the way through to checkout nice and quickly and easily. Delivering the UX that the customer is expecting for an SME can seem incredibly daunting, and especially on the budgets that we have compared to some of our big competitors. But once you have the right e-commerce platform underneath, giving you the foundations to build on top of it, you can be very confident of what you're doing. So how did we choose our e-commerce vendor? We started a couple of years ago coming to expos like this, sitting in talks, listening to what people were saying, and each talk we took a little something away, so we hope that you can take something away from today's talk. So today we'll be focusing on writing a brief for your new website, looking at e-commerce platforms and researching them, and the final decision of what you're actually going to do. So, writing the brief. We split the brief into two. One side was the customer and what they wanted and what we needed to deliver for them. The other side was the back end and the integrations we needed into our company processes. So, first of all, we looked at the customers. Our customer service sets us apart from a lot of our suppliers, or our competitors. A lot of our competitors are builders merchants. Anyone who's been to a builder's merchant has probably been in and realised that they talk a slightly different way to everyone else. They've got their jargon. If you're trying to buy from them, it just doesn't work unless you're a builder. So we tailor our customer service to each type of customer. We achieve this as soon as they've phoned us or emailed us. We know exactly who they are. We can talk to them in the way they feel natural. So if we're talking to a builder or a designer, they're two very different things. For a designer, we're going to talk to them about the emotional feeling that they're going to be giving their customer out of building a set of shelves. If we did that with a builder, I think they'd think we're mad. we have found a lot of problems where people were just on our site and we weren't able to communicate with them. If we are able to have that communication with them, we had a very high conversion rate. But if people were just sticking to our website, there was a much lower conversion rate, so we knew we had to make that change. It's very dangerous when generalizing customers into of what you think you've got. We need to know exactly who our customers are and what they want. So first of all, when we're writing our brief, we need to find out what they wanted from us. So we started with questionnaires and surveys. We started with a very small selection of surveys. As you can tell, this isn't something we do all the time. So we wanted to make sure that the surveys we were sending out, we were getting back meaningful data. So we tried this a few different times, and when we were getting that meaningful data, we sent it out to much larger customer bases so that we could find out exactly what they want, and we did get a lot of meaningful data back. With an SME, or being SMEs, we have very good relationship with regular customers. So rather than them getting a survey, we spoke to them directly. They were a fantastic source for us because they could tell us what we were doing wrong, and also being in very similar industries to us and dealing with lots of other people who are doing similar things, they could say to us, oh, have you seen so-and-so's website? It does this really, really well. That gave us a lot more input and a lot more scope of what we could do. We also spoke to our sales teams. Being SMEs, we don't have hundreds of people in our sales teams, so that was a much easier process. Our sales teams gave us some very unique insights. For example, one of our sales guys said to us that he was buying some Nike shoes the other day, and they had a way of being able to customize a pair of Nike shoes of exactly what he wanted. And this is how we could incorporate this into our world of Keeklamps, which is an industrial metal product. These two things don't seem to work together, but actually when you get down to the base processes, they do. And it's not something that we would have gone and looked at without going out and getting that information. We obtained both positive and negative feedback from all our channels. The important thing as SMEs is to listen to both. Sometimes there's a feeling that with the negatives you can kind of dismay it a little bit, but we listened to them so that we made sure we were doing the right thing. Whilst it's true for all customers, there are certain points that are important, like page loading speeds, mobile experiences, and a frictionless checkout. We were finding we were getting a lot of different bits back from a lot of different people. So we split each, we created 8 profiles of customers. Under those profiles of customers, be that a builder, a home DIYer, an architect, we put down what they wanted from us and what they wanted from the website. But there was then a lot of things that everyone wanted, and we're an SME, we have a certain budget. So we took those profiles and we said what they spent with us. So we could prioritize our spending and then make sure that we were going to get the return on investment that we wanted, because we can't please everyone. We were able to back up our findings by looking at our analytics and establishing trends, which gave us confidence that what we were going to be doing was the right thing. So with all this feedback from our customers, this had put together a fantastic brief for our user experience. So it was time to look at our back end. Companies are always looking to increase or streamline, companies are always looking to streamline efficiencies within the back-end process of how you process orders. The e-commerce platform is one of the most important systems you have. Changing your e-commerce platforms gives you a great opportunity to change the way a lot of your company processes work. It can seem very daunting looking at them all, but one key thing to keep in mind here, it's not a necessity to change them, and if you do decide to change them, they don't all have to be changed at once. For example, we are going to be having all of our sales ledger invoices, associated payments, and even our purchase ledger invoices posted automatically into Sage. At the moment, it's done in a very different process. This isn't being done in phase 1 because we didn't want everything to happen all together. This is being done in phase 2. One thing we would recommend for all SMEs is looking at platforms that can offer you different modules all written by the same company. If it's written by the same company, getting those two things to work together at the offset is going to be a lot easier, and moving forward, if anything updates, they're the same company, they're going to be updating everything together. So, for example, our chosen vendor, OmniCX, offer an order management system. We're adopting that order management system and replacing ours so that we have that seamless integration because it is the same software. One thing to mention about Omni is that whilst they offer all these different elements, they also offer a strategy called best in breed. So if we became big enough and we needed a different order management system, we outgrew it, they have an open system that will integrate with anyone else's order management system. So for now, as we're starting, we have a system that is very closed, but it can be opened up very easily with future growth. Because third parties can always provide a very unique element or very unique looked elements you may require. Yes, we will be using some third parties. For example, WorldPay for our payment gateway. We're not looking at rewriting something that they do so well. But if you are looking at plugins, which seem like such small things, one thing we would say is really research the company behind them. WorldPay, they're not going to be changing the way they do or stopping developing their payment gateway. That is what they do. But other companies, they offer a great solution, but give it 6 months. Are they going to be moving on something new? Is that going to become something that they don't update or is less important to them? Are you going to be having conversations with them that says, oh, sorry, we're working on something else at the moment. In 6 months' time, we will be doing the update to that, which is going to slow down your company. A mistake we made when looking at e-commerce providers is that believing every single e-commerce platform provided the same basic functionality. So if we look at something like a basket, every single e-commerce provider offers a basket. And I'm sure you've been on some websites, and when you've checked out, it was a really easy process. You've also been on some websites where you've been going through the checkout process. It's taken you such a long time that you felt like you almost want to not buy off these people anymore, but you've had to struggle through because you want the product. So what does the e-commerce platform you're looking at offer? Which level of simplicity do they offer in something as simple as a basket? Yes, all of them can be customized to get it to the simplicity you require for your customers, but that customization is going to cost you money, and when updates come out, you're going to need to know that those updates are going to work with your customization, which at the end of the day is going to cost you money, take your time, and at the end of the day, you're more interested in selling your product. I'm sure that's what you want to do. This takes us on to researching platforms. So once you have a clear idea of what you want, whittle down the e-commerce platforms, which sometimes can be quite quick by looking at those bullet points, but once you've whittled it down to a smaller number, get behind exactly what those bullet points mean. Looking at the basket, for example, what exactly do they mean by that? How much effort is going to take you to get what you want for your customers? So do a lot of internet research, but more importantly, speak to the e-commerce platforms or to the developers to find out exactly what they want, or exactly what they can give you and how they're going to give that to you. Be very wary of sales teams that are willing to take a brief from you and give you back a price. We had a lot of these, and when we then started talking to them and saying to them, how are you going to achieve this, they couldn't really give us an answer. It was pretty much, oh, if we get into it, we'll get going. And we knew what that meant was, we'll get into it and then we'll have a conversation about how the price is going up. But you will have spent enough with us to keep going. We wanted a price that was clear at the offset and was going to deliver us everything we wanted. Make sure they understand the non-standard elements. So looking at that Nike trainer, we now have interactive kits where we ask our customer some questions. Based on the output of those questions, we give them a certain amount of product SKUs. But we're not telling them that the sole of their trainer and the shoelace and the colour of this is all separate parts. We're just selling them one thing, the shoe. Some of the suppliers we were talking to said to us, all you need to do is just create a lot of bundles. And we said, but that then means that a customer is going to be looking at a page with 100 products on it, all slightly different, and they've got to find them. No, what we want to do is we want to ask them questions, ask them what colour sole they want, what colour shoelace they want, and then deliver them one thing at the end, which is, here's your product. If they have one product at the end, they're going to buy it. Where if you give them lots, they then got to make further decisions. As they didn't understand this, we stopped talking to these people and we moved on. Find someone in the company that really understands what you're trying to do. There's always someone there, and they tend to be a little bit more techie. They tend to be able to translate what you want into the technical language that the developers are going to need, and also they'll be able to take what the developers are talking about back to you, because they may not have all the answers, they may need to go and talk to their developers, but they are a fantastic link. Once you find that person or a group of people that work in that way, those are the people to carry on having the conversation with. Don't accept, oh yeah, we can give you a plugin and it integrates with what you want, because what exactly does that integration mean? We had some companies that were telling us that they could integrate with our accounts package, for example. And when we started saying to them, what exactly does that mean? They said to us, we can post the invoices. And we said, okay, so we need to get out of it the customer's information. Oh, no, it won't do that. We can customize it for you. It will cost you a lot of money. We can make it do that. But if we'd just taken, we could integrate with Sage as a one line, we would have fallen into that problem further down the line. Just discuss with them how to achieve your outcomes, because actually, a lot of the time, they may come up with a much better idea of how to achieve it. They've got a lot of experience of building the websites. We've got a lot of experience as SMEs of our products. We have a very good feeling of what we believe we want, but sometimes they may be able to amaze you with better ideas or have a conversation with you about how they could take it further. So, going through all of this process led us to a short list of 3, which was Magento Community Edition, the Enterprise Edition, and our chosen vendor in the end, OmniCX. So why are we looking at both Community Edition and Enterprise Edition of Magento? And the simple reason was we understood that with the amount of plugins we were looking at, we were building a very fragile system, and I was not looking forward to that email from one of those plugin people or from the e-commerce platform saying there's an update coming, and us then having to spend our time, instead of speaking to our customers, worrying about, was it going to work? How much is it going to cost us to make this work? Don't want to be thinking about that. I want to be asking questions from our customers. Our customers want to spend money with us. It was a great way of actually finding out if the developers really knew what they were talking about, because there were a lot of developers saying to us that if we went with this edition, we'd need all of these plugins, A, B, and C, and if we went with this, we wouldn't need them. Then we had other ones telling us that we would still need them. And you get very different approach, or they have very different understandings of what they're selling to you. And also you then start questioning, hang on, are you selling this to me because you want to make more money? So it was a very enlightening process. So our final decision we based on 4 main factors. The sacrifices and alternatives we had made when going through the briefs. Actually, the briefs ended up being slightly different depending on who we were going to go with. How much scope there was for the future. Some people have discussed with us about future ideas and ways we could work in the future because they understood that we wanted to grow. Obviously, price was very important, but that was something that we needed to take into account, not just on the price that was on the quote, but on moving forward on all the other problems we could come up against with plugins, upgrading, and customization. The most important thing for us was trust. Did we have a relationship with the e-commerce provider that we could work with? We weren't looking at a quick fix. We weren't looking at a website that we could launch today and we'll speak to our developers again in 5 years' time when the website becomes out of date. We didn't want a website that would come out of date again. We wanted to be developing it constantly. We had loads of great ideas about our products and about what we could be doing. So we wanted a company that we could work with. So we feel that relationship is a very important thing. So why didn't we choose Magento? A lot of people, when we spoke to them, were telling us about not only other people out there in the market that were very close to our products and things they had done very well and things they didn't do well, but they also were telling us about their e-commerce solutions. And a lot of them were saying they had Magento 1 websites. We said to them, okay, obviously you're going to be coming up against the same problem as us as having to redevelop everything very soon. Are you looking at going to Magento 2? A lot of them said no, a lot of them said that they weren't instantly going to go to Magento 2, which waved a bit of a flag for us of why, and still a lot of them haven't, and they're going to be having problems very, very soon. We didn't want to rely on all these plugins. We didn't want the dreaded email coming in of us having to take our focus away from sales and having to go back and worry about our website. We wanted a system that just worked. So why did we choose OmniCX? OmniCX give a much more complete platform. It's got everything in it. You're not having to deal with so many people. All these people you work with, at the end of the day, need to be your partners. You need to spend time with all of them to have a good relationship with them. And time, as SMEs, is not something we have in abundance. Having everything in one package leads to much sturdier foundations and a less brittle system that could break, which means that any development and growth we had in the future was on very sturdy foundations. They're a partner we felt that during the whole process we could trust. We understood, or that they understood us, what we wanted now, and also where we were going in the future. We'd had a great relationship with them through our briefing process. So that's pretty much the end of my speech. If you'd like to find out anything else about OmniCX and why we chose them, their stand G33 is just over there. Also say that they do work with much larger companies like the Fragrance Store or the Fragrance Shop. I always get store and shop wrong. So they've got a lot of expertise which they're able to take from a very large retailer and bring it to an SME market. That's them. Thank you.